Alrighty. Hey guys, Alexis with Sophia Leather. Yes, I only have like 4 or 5 different type of shirts that I wear all the time. It's just, it is what it is. They're really comfortable for the shop. Either way, you're not here for that. What we're gonna do oh my gosh, what we're gonna do today is how to make a firefighter glove strap. So, before I begin, I wanna say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your input for all my subscribers. This has been kind of something I've been trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. So with that being said, I'm gonna offer this how to build a firefighter strap. I'm gonna give you my dimensions, my patterns, all for free. I'm not charging it. This is a business that is designed primarily for my kids, teach them work ethic, shows them how to work for their own money, teaches them the value of money, what it means to spend $10 on a toy or something. They know what it costs them as far as work. So this is what this channel is all about. This is what this business is all about. With that being said, this is all for free. However, I will put a link in the description as far as, I'll put a link in the description if you want to donate for that cause. There'll be a PayPal, you can donate whatever you want. You could donate $0, you could donate $1 million, you could donate -$5, which means I pay you. I don't even care. If you can figure that out, send it, you know? But, all right, so we're going to build a firefighter chin strap. Oh my gosh, we're gonna build a glove strap. So if you have not looked at the hardware that's needed for firefighter leather, I'll put a link in the description for that video. It goes over where to get this hardware, what type of hardware. Also, I'm assuming that you guys have basic leather crafting skills. However, I will go into some detail on how I build it and why I built it. This is primarily how I build it and how I got there and the design features. And this is actually a really good icebreaker into future how-to videos, because you'll get to see right here in this video how I actually build my designs. Like I told you before, it's a lot of math. All designs are math, but that is my primary focus and the way I build it. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. But if you guys want to know what kind of tools you need, like I said, I'm assuming you're gonna have some basic leather crafting skills. I'll put another link in the description below on tools needed for basic firefighter leather and strap goods and all that stuff. Yeah, I'll put a description down there for those 2 items. So watch those if you don't know exactly the tools you need and the hardware needed for firefighter stuff and strap good tools and stuff like that. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the hardware and we're gonna come to the table and we'll start. All right, let me go grab that. I talk too much. I should just be quiet, you know what I mean? All right, so the hardware needed. This is a Postman slide or a spring clip. Watch that video to see where to get that. It's 3/4 inch wide. So right here is 3/4 inch. This space here. 3/4 inch trigger snap or scissor snaps. 3/4 inch D-ring. Wide guard plastic buckle. All right. Now, as far as the leather is concerned, you need approximately 20 to 21 inches long of leather. This is what it takes, about 20 to 21 inches of leather. And it's gonna be 3/4 inches wide. This is what I use to cut that strap. And we're gonna set this bad boy to 3/4. Right there. So now we're good to cut our strap 3/4. Let me do that real quick. Now, a lot of times, it's kind of a pain in the butt to cut this strap like this. That's why I have these woodworking clamps right here. Once I get a little piece there, I'll hold it down. Makes it way easier to finish off the cut. See? Way easier. That's it. Alrighty, so we got our strap and we're gonna get into the actual dimensions. But I forgot to tell you, this is about 9 ounce. For stuff like this, 8 to 10 ounce is good. I like 9 ounces. You can look at that video, I'll put a link in the description on the leather thicknesses I use, and you'll see why when I build this. But let me go over the dimensions. Now this is where I'm gonna show you, look at this. This is actually my secret blueprints. You can see one of my first videos. This is my secret blueprint. I'm gonna show you, this is not gonna make sense to you. This is part of the problem on why I don't really wanna sell my templates, because I don't even know how I would do it. But I'm gonna show you, this is 2 pieces. This is the longer piece. The piece that I'm gonna show you now is the actual strap itself that wraps around the pair of gloves. So let me show you what it simply means, and then we're gonna actually build it together. Can you see that? Okay. This is the end of the beginning of the strap. From the end of the beginning of the strap to the first hole is 1/2 inch. From that hole to the next hole is 1.5 inches. From that hole to the next hole is 8 inches. From that hole to the next hole is 1.5 inches. And from that hole to the end of the strap is 0.5 inches. Okay, and you can see where things are plugged in here. This is the female plastic part of the buckle, and this is a thumb tab here. And I'll explain that here in a second. So that is the actual dimensions. We're gonna build it, and I'll show you actually how to do that and the reasons why I do that, all right? All right, so first things first, I use my wing divider. I know that this piece of leather is 3/4 inches wide, so to find the middle of that hole, of that strap, we're gonna cut this in half, right? So 3/4, 1/2 of 3/4 is what? 6/8, correct? Oh, not 6/8, not 3/8. I'm such an idiot. So all we're doing is finding 3/8 here on the scale and closing it down. So I probably don't need to show you this, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is 3/8, which is 1/2 of 6/8, which is 3/4. So now we're gonna mark the first hole. We're gonna go from the end, and I'm just marking where I'm gonna cut the end of the strap. Then the next hole from here, I'm keeping it right at 0 here. I'm gonna go 1/2 inch. I'm making a dot with this. And then from there, I'm going 1.5 inches, right? So that brings me here. And then from there, I'm going 8 inches out. So I'm going here. So you can do this a couple ways. You can leave it right there or keep shifting it to 0 and move 8 inches, or leaving it at the 2 mark and coming up to 10. You can do however you want. Now I need to go 1.5 inches out, a dot there, and then from there, 1.5 inches. I'm sorry, from the end, and 1/2 inch out. And I'll show you what that looks like in comparison. So this is the beginning where I cut the end of the strap. From here to here is 1.5 inches. From that dot to that dot is 1.5. From that dot all the way to there is 8 inches. From that dot to the next one is 1.5. From there to the end is 1/2 inch. And that is the one strap. And this is how I build almost everything, including my briefcases and everything else. I do it very linearly like this. One thing I want to add, when you're marking your holes, don't go, I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't go just from bottom up only across the way. The reason why I don't go bottom up only or top down only, and what I mean by that is top down only or bottom up only. The reason why I don't do that is because this strap might not be exactly 3/4 inches wide, and this might not be exactly at 3/8. So if you do it top down and bottom up, you'll have 2 different distinguished dots, because it's not a perfect dimension, right? See right there, I did that. I went top down and bottom up. If I were to only do top down, all my holes would be offset. So if you go top down and bottom up, you'll have 2 different dots, and that'll kind of equalize, and you'll find true middle. And then you just punch your hole right over that, over those 2 dots. Speaking of holes, I use 5/32 on absolutely everything. Get whatever hole punch you want. 5/32 on absolutely. I can get away with just using this punch for everything in my shop. Just so you guys know, 5/32. So let's go ahead and cut and punch the holes out. And I'm gonna show you what I use to punch the ends. All right, stand by. All right, so now I'm gonna punch the ends of this. If you notice that dot there, I actually mark where I punched the end, because from the end to the first hole, it's gonna be the 1/2 inch like I had on my template. So to cut these ends off, you can do what you want. You can use whatever you want. You can use like a 1/4 and round it off, or you can legit use something like this, or make it straight. Or what I prefer to use is a legit round punch from Weaver Leather. I have all these tools in that video. That's what I like to do. So we're gonna cut the ends off and then punch those holes. Now be careful when you're doing this. You wanna make sure you're getting the ends, right? You don't wanna punch a dot that is actually a hole. And now we're gonna punch our holes, see? And what you're left with, I know I'm kind of overdoing this, but what you're left with, that's the end. First hole, 1/2 inch. From there to that hole, 1.5. From that hole to that hole should be 10, and then from that hole to that hole should be 1.5, and then from there to there should be 1/2 inch. It keeps it uniform. It keeps it where it's the same. My products always look the same. There's no guesswork. So I'm just gonna center those holes and punch them. Okay. Let's take it back to the scale to confirm that this is the actual size. All right, so we're at our scale here, and I want to make sure that this is accurate. So from the end to the first hole, 1/2 inch. From this hole to that one is 1.5, so it brings you to 2. From this hole to that one should be 8. That should bring you to 10 inches. From this hole to that one is 1.5 inches. That should bring you to 11.5. And then from that hole to the end should be 1/2 inch, and that brings you to 12. That's perfect. So when you're cutting this out, you can easily go, all right, I need to go 1/2 inch to the next one, so make 1/2 inch. And I need to go 1.5, and you can bring this up to 0 and make that 1.5, and then bring this down to 0. You say you need 8, mark that hole 8, and then you say you need another 1.5, bring that back to 0, 1.5. But you know what? I'm sure you guys could do math. It's probably easier and more efficient and more accurate if you leave it sit in place and just do the math yourself. So leave it at 0 and then just add your marks, because every time you move this, it's not exactly dead nuts. So if you leave it sit, it's gonna be a little bit more accurate. So that's how I do it. I tend to do it like this. All right, I'm gonna cut out the other one, and I'll give you the dimensions on that one. Stand by. The next strap is gonna be from the end to the first hole, 1/2 inch. From that hole to the next one, 2.5 inches. From that hole to the next is 2 inches. From that hole to the next is 2.5. From that hole to the next is 1/2 inch. And then you can see where you have to place your items. Plastic buckle goes in between that one. Trigger and D-ring goes in here, and the alligator snap goes in there. And I'll show you in the assembly part what that looks like. But let's go ahead and punch this out. I've been doing so many of these, I know this by memory already at this point. Watch me mess up right now. 0. And then we're gonna go to the 1/2 inch mark. And then we're gonna go, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring this closer so you can see it. Unless you guys can see it from there. I think you guys can. All right. 1/2 inch there, and then from there, I said I knew by memory, but I wanna double check. All right, from there to the next hole is 2.5, so that takes me to the 3 inch mark, right? Then from that hole to the next one is 2 inches. That brings me to 5. From this hole to the next is 2.5. That brings me to 7.5. And then from this hole to the cut, the end is 1/2 inch. All right, let's see what that looks like. Let's confirm that. This is the end. From here to here is 1/2 inch. From here to, from here to there it's 2.5. From there to there is 2. From there to there is 2.5, and from there to the end is 3 inches. I'm sorry, 1/2 inch. And let's confirm that. 2.5, boom, boom, boom. Yep. Let's go ahead and punch this out. You guys already seen me punch this out, so I'm gonna fast forward. All right, so let's confirm that. From the end to the first hole, 1/2 inch. From that hole to the next is 2.5 inches out. That brings you to 3 inches. From that hole to the next is 2 inches. That brings you to 5 inches. From that hole to the next is 2.5. That brings you to 7.5. From that hole to the end is 8 inches. So we now have our 2 straps. Now let's take it to the skiving table. We have to skive it, bevel, burnish it. Let's do that. All right, so on this longer piece, I want to skive or bring it down from this hole out to that hole. The rest could be thick, same thing from here to there. If you don't have a skiver, you can get away with not doing it, but skive it down a little bit, make this part thinner. It'll make your assembly a little bit easier. So let me do that real quick. Now this is a skiver, a benchtop skiver from Weaver Leather. This is their model. It's not a CS Osborne, it's a Heritage model. So I skive it down just a touch. It'll allow it to bend over a little bit when you're assembling this. Now you don't have to do this, but I found it way easier. I'm gonna throw it over there, and let's do the other one. Now this guy here, like I said, you don't have to really skive this, but it makes it way easier. And I skive the whole thing. I bring it all the way down. Or you can build this whole thing out of 8 ounce, and that'll be a little bit easier. Don't have to do this. I like doing it. Makes it a little less bulky. You'll see why when we assemble. So I like to skive the whole thing down. I'm bringing it down maybe to about 7 ounces, 7 or 8 ounces, not much. But for some reason, if you take off that little top layer, it makes it easier to work with. So it's not that much thinner. It really isn't that much thinner than the original. So here's the original, and here's the skiver. So it's not that much, but just taking off that pasted layer there is really, really gonna help. Oh, these are going out today. My microphone just died. Give me a second. Sorry about that. What I was saying was, I filmed the whole beveling and burnishing this, but you guys know how to bevel and burnish. I'll make a separate video how to do that eventually. But what I was telling you was, once you get that, you bevel and burnish it and it's ready for assembly. But eventually we'll work our way to building something like this, my premium Firefighter radio strap. Yeah, so let's go over there and assemble this. I wanted to mention that this is actually, this is for the giveaway winner, Nelson, who won last week. He won this giveaway, so this is actually for him. But anyway, so I want to say 2 things when it comes to the assembly. I use these number 9 brass rivets. That's my neighbor. Hold on, I gotta say hello to him. All right, so I use the like I was saying, the number 9 brass rivets to assemble everything. They're cheaper. I think they're about maybe a nickel or a dime per piece versus a Chicago screw is a little more expensive, and they will undo themselves. But if you do not have rivets, an anvil, and some rivet setters, you can always put them together with Chicago screws. A little more expensive, and I don't think they hold up as well. If you do use Chicago screws, I would get the 1/4 inch and the 3/8. Those are the 2 sizes you'll use the most. And to make sure you get some red Loctite, because these will undo themselves. So you can assemble the whole thing with Chicago screws is what I'm trying to say, but make sure you use Loctite. I'm gonna go ahead and use the brass rivets because I like it and it doesn't come apart. So, yep. All right, let's assemble it, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. We're gonna take the smaller piece and we're gonna put this together. So what you wanna do is, there's 2 sides, and you have to weave this alligator snap. All right, and the way you do it is simply put the, hold on, see, even I forget sometimes. Yeah, put the nice face towards the clip, the grain side towards the clip, weave it up. It's easier to do it like this, and then bring this through. That is the easiest way of securing it. And what you want to do is line up these two holes like that. See it? So you have your alligator snap right here. Now, you're left with this. You're gonna take your, I wanna say it's the D-ring first. Yeah, the D-ring comes first. Then your trigger snap. Now this is a part where you can use whatever kind of connectors you want. You could just only use the trigger snap. You can only use the D-ring. You can use both. Or you can use something like this instead. It's a big snap. You can use that if you wanted to. This is where you would put your connectors. And those snaps are from Weaver Leather. And it is the item number 00200 solid brass 3/4 inch. So you can use those if you want. But I tend to run it this way. And of course you can put the trigger snap first and then the D-ring, but when it sits like this, this is what it's gonna look like. I like the trigger snap to be on the opposite side where the buckle is and not on the metal piece, because I don't want this to constantly be hitting the metal. You know what I mean? So I put the D-ring on the side of the alligator snap. So you're gonna weave that through there, and then you're going to get your male side, your male, and the way you weave that in there is I always go, see how this has a little contour? See how it's kind of contoured? I put the flat side on the flesh side. Flat side on the flesh side like that, and weave it up. Flat side on the flesh side. And if you do it the other way, it's not gonna hurt. But the reason why I do this is because, hold on. The reason why I do this, flat side on the flesh side, is because that little contour right there, when you snap this down, allows it a little bit more room to wiggle this way, which is towards the outside of the snap. If you did the other way, it's not gonna wanna go, you see? Actually, you just did it, but when you cinch this down, it'll wanna not go that way, so. And then what you're left with is, I'm gonna go ahead and, this is a tricky. I'm gonna weave all this through there. Can you see that? I'm weaving all this through here. And you really wanna work this and get this as flat as possible. So what you're left with is that, okay? Now, you would use a Chicago screw for here, and I would say that you probably need 1/2 inch Chicago screw to get that in there. Now, cinching this down could be a little squirrely, but yeah, I like to put the head of the rivet on the buckle side, because it'll match the head on this buckle when I put this together. So I like it to be uniform, but that doesn't really matter, that's a preference. So this could be a little bit sketch, setting this up. So you gotta give yourself, stretch this out. And this is not a how-to rivet, but I did learn that hard and heavy, fast, right now, like get it done the first go is the best way. All right, so that's good. I'm gonna tap it down a little bit more. And then get as close as I can. These rivet setters are absolutely insane. Check out that video on where I get this stuff at. But I don't think it'll be as nice without these. So the longer the post on your brass rivet, the bigger chance you get from that post shifting when you're hitting it. That's why I only hit it once really hard, maybe twice really hard. The more you tap on it, the higher the probability that that post is going to shift on you. So that is done. All right, let's see what that looks like. And you can see how it's coming together already. Okay. Now, so essentially this piece is identical. The difference here is the same, the difference there, and that is 1.5 inch and 1.5 inch. So for me, anytime I'm wrapping a leather around something like this, it takes 1.5 inches. Anytime I'm making a thumb tab, it's 1.5 inches. But let's go ahead and set this female part in, and all you're gonna do is, you notice there's some writing. So this is a small detail, those writing. I wanna put that in the bottom so you don't see it. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in the bottom. And we're gonna put the head on the outside so it looks really clean, right? See, there's no writing. The head's on the outside. So that is going to match when you marry this together. See, the head and the head. All right, so let's hit this in real quick. Super simple job. You guys gotta get these rivets, man. These rivet setters, they are the best. So the distance between those two holes, 1.5, is almost perfect for any kind of D-rings you want to put in there, buckles. The 2.5 distance is perfect for this alligator snap. So that's always consistent. You'll see when we do a chin strap build that these numbers stay true even through the glove strap, the chin strap build. That's just something that's consistent all the time. Anything that wraps over something like this is 1.5 inch distance, those holes. Anything that needs to be wrapped around here requires 2.5. Anything that needs to be wrapped around this male buckle is 2.5. That stays true for anything I'm doing. Now, for all intents and purposes, this is done, all right? And you could call it a day right here. This is your chin strap, your glove strap, and you're good to go. However, one small detail is if somebody pulls this all the way out and they DC this, you can lose that piece. And that's probably something you want to do so that they can buy another one from you. But you know what? I want to be a nice guy and I want to prevent that from happening. So let me show you what I do to prevent this from going all the way through. So what I do is I connect it, or you could DC this, doesn't matter. You're gonna weave it through like it's gonna sit when it's final. And this is what this thumb loop is, a thumb tab. Thumb tab does two things. It's 1.5 inches, so it's the same, but it stops it from sliding all the way through and also gives you something to grab. So we're gonna just fold it on itself. And I like to keep it uniform where the head is on the outside. Plus this little ball here that is created when you rivet it in gives you something to grab. It's a little small detail that two more hits and we're done. Two, three. I gotta go help my neighbor. Go to Lowe's. Okay, here we go. So you can see, it will not allow it to go all the way through, so you can't lose that piece. So there it is. All right, let me give you my little outro. Guys, stay tuned for this little outro. I got some more information, all right? So don't leave yet, all right? Let me do that real quick. All righty, guys, so there it is. Sophia leather style. I gave you all my secrets. I showed you my secret blueprints. And as far as that, I don't know if I'm gonna add this into a downloadable file. You're just gonna have to screenshot it. I'll put another screenshot here, overlay of the actual prints. Kind of don't wanna make a downloadable part yet because I don't know if this is gonna be good or not. Let me get your input on that. If this is kind of straightforward, easy, and I can make a nice professional downloadable dimension template pattern, description below. Let me know in the comments below if this will be suffice. All right, so with that being said, we'll eventually work on building a firefighter suspenders, firefighter rated strap. We'll do a chin strap. Kind of want to use this video to kind of get a feel for the how to build stuff. As far as the technical stuff, the how to bevel, how to skive, how to burnish, even how to hand stitch, how to glue, all those things, I want to make separate videos on how to and make that part of the leather crafting tips, so that I can always reference that instead of making these build videos super long. I would have to assume, hey, that you know how to do this. If not, I can refer you to those videos in the description like I did in the beginning of this video. I think that'll be easier, so I don't have to sit there and show you, oh, you got a bevel like this. I'll just assume that you know how to do that. If not, I'll refer you to another video. So during this process, I'm going to be making a lot more videos, how to saddle stitch, how to glue, so that this way, when we do these build along videos, all we're doing is building along, using the dimensions and putting it together, assuming you know how to do everything else. So these videos could be a little short. I know this one's probably a little longer. I'm trying to getting my feet with this. Let me know in the comments below if you appreciate this video, how you like it. Don't forget, I have that donate button. I have that donate link if you feel that this is helpful for you and it can help me and my family and my channel. And yeah, that's it. God bless you guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.